Hey everybody, and welcome to part 2 of the Cindy Gladue case. It's I'm just gonna say thank you for the support and the kind questions and respectful questions in the first video, part 1. If you're tuning into this and you have no idea what I'm talking about, please watch part 1. I wanted to separate the two videos because I wanted part 1 to focus on her and the details of the case and kind of be more serious about that. Whereas part 2, we're going to be talking about theories and opinions and questions. I also want to say it off because I know some people sent me messages, and I am fine, guys. I am comfortable to do these videos. I know some people were worried about my safety, but honestly, it's not a big deal to me. Like, I am personally not worried about my safety right now. I'm more focused about, getting the truth out there for if I'm doing true crime videos, or just, videos about my past or my mental health. And I know some people are very, very much worried about my safety, but I want to just say thank you, thank you, and I'm okay. So in this part 2, we are going to be going through some of the questions and theories and opinions that some people have. And this is going to kind of wrap up the case, and I will be doing a part 3 once, the second trial gets underway and we get more information. So one of the main questions was, do I think like the court system did the right thing? The way that it was handled, I feel like I have to say the Canadian criminal justice system, it's not as good as it can be. Now, no criminal system is the best or, do everything right. Of course not. But I think they really dropped the ball in this case and really disrespected the whole case. Like, just because a person has a certain job doesn't make them a horrible human being. Just because they do a certain thing doesn't mean that they're trash. And that's kind of how she was treated. And to me, that is completely wrong. So I am very thankful that a second trial is underway, and hopefully, however it will turn out, I hopefully think that all the evidence needs to come forward and be allowed into play, even though I know some of it won't be because it was mishandled. But I think that, it's going on to 10 years, and I think, some heavy questions need to be answered. So I'm going to add this kind of question in. And now if you guys are seeing this video, because I know this is really different from my videos, it won't make a whole lot of sense. So feel free to go through my other videos. If not, don't worry about it. But one of the questions were, because a lot of people were concerned, was that the person who was tried and arrested for this crime, I once dated one of his sons, and I ended up getting into a very abusive relationship that involved his friends and the school, which again ties into this question too. So people were wondering if, because this got out, did this did the school treat this any differently? Did they treat them differently? And how were they towards me? So I'm going to just loop this into one big answer. Yes, the school was well aware of it. I mean, it was national news, so, a lot of people knew. The school treated them with kid gloves. Not even kid gloves. I would say they let them do whatever the fuck they wanted. And it showed on some of the things that they did to me. I have talked about it in other videos, and the way that the school handled it, I don't think it was professional at all. They allowed me to get abused, and it was known. It was not hidden. The staff of the school knew, the principal, the VPs, all knew, and they just kind of let it happen because either they were afraid of the situation or they just felt bad for them. I don't know. I'm not here to, say this is how it was, because I'm not them. But to me, I think that it could have gone either way. But that doesn't excuse them not being able to protect other students. They aren't their father. So I don't think that had anything, that shouldn't have affected it. But unfortunately it did, and at times I was severely injured due to that. They took out their frustration and anger on me, and it was not stopped. So that answers that question. So another question was, when did I find this all out? So I heard bits and parts of it on the news. The person accused was not identified at the time. But I got a text and from a group member, and they told me, and they said that I had to watch my back. And I think, I don't, sorry, this is but I wanted to be honest with you guys. So, I don't have an opinion on their father. Truth be told, I never really met him. I met him in passing. When I met him in passing, he seemed like a good dude. Now, what their sons did in their father's name was really, really cruel, and I don't think that their father deserved this, to be used as a tool. And what I mean is, that when they got really drunk or really high, they would say that they would threaten me with kind of the title of, they would say, oh, you know what our father is accused of, you better watch your back. The same thing might happen to you. Now, whether they were just shooting air out of their ass, I don't know. I don't know. I'm not here to, state an opinion of if they really meant it or not, of that certain threat, because one, their father was in Alberta at the time, when all of this was taking place, and I'm not sticking up for them. I'm just saying that things can be said in anger and frustration, and this is a heavy thing to be dealing with. Again, I am not saying that this is an excuse, that I'm sticking up for them. I'm just saying that I don't know if they believed if he did it or not. They would change the mind, saying like he couldn't do it. It wasn't possible. But when they did do the threats like that, was I scared? Of course. This is a very tricky question, and I'm treading on water, and I don't want to, cause anything, but this is what I'm saying. Like, how they used their father's name was wrong. And that's on them. That's not on their father. That's on them. And how they used his name in certain situations is completely wrong and inappropriate on their accounts. I did not believe that their father would do that. Of course not. And why I say that loosely is because, come on. First of all, that's just a dumb thing to do and an obvious thing. And, like, you know, he was pleading not guilty, so that. But honestly, do I think they could have done something? That's an entirely different thing, and I did a video on it. So if you want to hear more about that as I dive into that, there is a video that I did that goes into kind of that. But I just wanted to bring that up and get that out of the air, because I know some of that was the questions. And again, I am not defending anybody here. I'm holding them responsible for the language that they used. I do not hold any ill will to their father with those threats, because he had nothing to do with them. I'm very, very heartbroken that there are 3 beautiful daughters, young ladies, that have to grow up without their mother. And kind of, they've had to live with the unknown for 10 years of, you know, how this happened. They don't know. And how the mother was treated in court and talked about is degrading and not fair for them to have to grow up and hear those things and those comments and have it basically on national news. So there was no running from that. And they were pretty young at the time. So I think that is very unfair. And, you know, my thoughts and prayers go out to them. So there's this question and opinion that a lot of people have of, like, why do you think Steve had that gut feeling? Now, from the research that I've done, and, like, I think the interviews that he gave, now, again, there's not a whole lot of information on this. You know, it's just sometimes when you have that feeling, maybe, from what I read is when, you know, the first act took place the night before, I think Steve just got this weird feeling, and, you know, some people do, and, you know, I guess he's probably kicking himself in the back now of, like, not listening to that gut feeling, because usually your gut is right, like 95% of the time your gut is right. And why he didn't stop her, I don't know. I can't answer that question. That's only for him that can answer that. So a lot of people are asking, were drugs and alcohol involved? Yes, she was way over the legal limit of the alcohol consumed. It was like 4 times the legal amount. I don't know what his was. That was never released, and how it was handled on his part, like, again, a lot of information is given out, so I don't know. All I know is, yes, she was drinking. You know, again, sadly, there is not a lot of information released, and the information that was released is very degrading and not the right information that was given out. I think that a lot of it was overlooked, so hopefully in this trial we will get more answers to questions. Somebody had the opinion that because there was surveillance, security cameras that caught them going into the room and nobody else going into the room. So there is an opinion going on that, well, somebody could have come through the window or whatever. It's unlikely. You know, again, I'm not here to kind of pick a side. I'm kind of being Switzerland here. So I'm going to look at it as this could have been a complete accident, okay? They were doing something kinky in the bedroom, and I talked about this in part 1, and it went wrong. Then he should have just called 911. Now, this kind of ties into another question of, like, well, why did he see a prostitute if he had a family back home? I can't answer that. You know, he is a truck driver, so maybe he was lonely. I don't know. I'm not here to judge. You know, some people are, you know, that's what they do. Again, I'm not here to judge or anything. But, you know, he should have called 911 if it was an accident. Instead of, some people say that he covered it up by, like, he picked her up and put her in the bathtub and then went to sleep and then, you know, left the room in the morning and then, you know, act surprised, like, oh, I found her in the bathtub, and his friend, you know, told him to call 911. And that's actual fact. That's kind of, you know, he woke up in the morning, left the room, and then told a friend, and then called 911, and then he went back to the hotel room. That's how that all went down. But, you know, again, if it was an accident, you know, deal with the consequences of, like, calling 911, getting her help, and she could have survived. You know, yes, could have gotten back to his family that he was with a prostitute, probably, and he would have to deal with those consequences. But, and maybe he was scared. Like, that's another thing. Like, he could have been scared, like, holy shit, you know, I have a dead lady or dying lady in my room, and he just didn't know what to do. That's also a possibility. Again, I am, you know, very Switzerland. I'm not here to pick a side. I'm just here to talk about the facts and opinions and stuff. So, yes, does it look a little bit sketchy of, like, why, you know, he not covered it up, but was, like, trying to hide the fact? Yes, it does. But again, we weren't there. None of us were there. We don't know what happened. Again, it could have been an accident, or it couldn't have been. Like, it could go either way. But I think that, you know, from what I know, he was a loving father. So I don't think and he was a good partner. You know, of course, everybody has the faults and, you know, fights and stuff, but I don't think he set out in Alberta to kill somebody. Like, I don't think he sat down in his hotel room and planned this out. I honestly believe that maybe this was a accident. Yes, were some things found on his laptop? Yes. I mean, some people are into some kinky stuff. That doesn't automatically mean you're a murderer. Murderer. Yes. A killer. There we go. However, I mean, how everything was handled after, kind of not a good look. And that's kind of why, from the research I found, is that's why they're going through the manslaughter charge, is because there was no evidence found that he planned this. It was, like, completely random how he met them and her, and it just didn't add up to him, you know, going out and finding somebody and then killing them. And so the evidence shows that this was an accident, but how he handled the situation after was completely rubbish and stupid. And that's why they're going for the manslaughter. Like, they believe that he did not plan this, it just happened, but how he handled the whole thing, that is why they are going for a manslaughter and not first-degree murder. I do not think any less of sex workers. I know they are people. They are doing what they have to survive. Yes, unfortunately, is that sometimes to fuel a addiction? Yes. That is very sad and unfortunate, but I do not judge or think any less of a person who's a sex worker, prostitute. To me, they are still human. They are still people, and with good hearts and good souls, they just have to do what they have to do to survive. And I don't feel any less about that person at all. I really hope that this second trial, kind of shines away from that. And that was kind of, I think, the goal of, yes, it has to be brought up, but it doesn't have to be painted as this happened because she was a prostitute, because she was an Aboriginal woman. I think that is wrong, disrespectful, and degrading. And I really hope that the second trial talks about who she was as a person, and talk about some of those fun facts that I shared in part 1. Sorry, I keep looking because I have a list of questions. Some of these questions I kind of have to tread very carefully on, because this is an open case. So again, we don't have all the facts, so I don't want to jump to conclusions. And also I want to protect the safety of the families involved. And I say families because, there were multiple families involved in this. I don't want to disrespect anybody. I don't mean to disrespect anybody. And I also want to protect my safety a little bit in this. So I know some of these questions are very vague, and I didn't get to answer all these questions. I'm honestly, I could talk about them in part 3. I'm debating. I just want to protect my safety too. And I think I'll talk about that kind of in my next Q&A video, which will be on December 22nd. I decided to do a big Q&A on my birthday, just, for you guys to get to know me a little bit more. But yes, as I'm talking about newer stuff, I'm very cautioned, I should say, about certain things, because I do want to protect my safety and the safety of my loved ones. And I know a lot of people are going to have questions about that, which I will answer. And I hope I was able to kind of leave the door for an open conversation for some of these kind of questions and opinions and theories in the comments below. Remember, please be respectful of each other's opinions and questions. And honestly, guys, have an open conversation down in the comments below. State your theories and opinions on this. Do you think that this was handled the right way? What do you want to see happen? And I'll leave it there for now. I really hope you guys are staying safe, and I will be doing more videos prior to my Q&A. Don't worry. I have a whole bunch that I plan on doing. Like I said, this true crime video is way out of my norm, and I love watching true crime videos, so I know these are the shit. They are shitty. I know they are not professional, but I wanted to add kind of a personal touch. Yes, I am reading off of some papers and some notes, but I also wanted to kind of not sit like a robot and read just facts. I wanted to kind of leave that room for an open communication of just getting to know everything instead of just like, these are the facts, you know. I just want to have that kind of personal connection still, even though, you know, this is way different from my usual videos. But anyways, guys, I'm gonna leave it here. Like I said, I did not answer all the questions. I will perhaps answer them in part 3, but that of course is going to be a ways away because the trial hasn't even begun yet. So please be patient with that, because, you know, none of us know when that's going to take place. In the meantime, guys, I will leave you here. Remember to stay safe, and I'm not going to say my usual thing because I think that's going to be taking away from the case. Anyways, guys, until the next video, stay safe.